In a quest to see who could be dumber and even more out of touch, the Republicans under Trump or establishment Democrats, several prominent Clinton allies have decided to up the ante by launching a new social media website thing that caters to people specifically with her, or who are still with her. Lovely. Now, this is called Unvaried, which is hilarious. And they explicitly bill themselves as for being for the 65.8 million people who voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So they're not hiding the fact that they're basically propaganda for the Hillary wing of the Democratic Party. This has been described in some of the different articles about this, and this is not from right-wing websites, okay? This is from The Verge, right? Describing it as, quote, the blue MAGA hat of websites. That is not very far-fetched, okay? I mean, look, all it is it's not even really social media, right? What it is right now, it's basically little cards with a quote or a fact on it. But this also goes into how unnecessary, how unneeded this really is, okay? I mean, sure, facts, right? They got facts. I love facts. Facts are great. But when they're presented with no context and no discussion, it's... look, let me give you an example, okay, of what this is. You look up Unvaried, you're going to find this, okay? You're going to find quotes from George Washington. Oh, look at that. So... great. What's that in relation to? Fuck all. I don't know. It's just a random George Washington quote. Fantastic. Then you have Hillary Clinton. What are they so afraid of? Me, to some extent, because I don't die despite their best efforts. Okay. Fantastic. So, look, that's an example. That's an example of what you're going to find on Unvaried. I mean, I went on there and I looked, and it's just nothing but these little damn cards. And I was like, okay. And? Now, notice, by the way, if you go through there, you will not find a single quote from Bernie Sanders. Now, you will find one from Elizabeth Warren, but that I think is because she is a little bit more tolerated by the establishment, because right now she is basically not a threat. Now, that might change later. Okay. But anyway, so one has to ask, when talking about Unvaried, what's the fucking point? I mean, these quotes, you can go and find these quotes anywhere. And they link to different articles. What's the point? Well, there is no point. Now, The Verge explains that Clinton and creator Peter Dow actually referred to Unvaried as a media platform. Well, again, everything that I've seen there is not really a media platform. And look, users can't contribute to anything except to the site, except for to comment on each page. So a lot of comments there. Basically, look, the whole point of the site, they say, is to give people image macros that they can download or share, presumably so they can win arguments with political opponents by showing them a tweet length statement in a picture that's embedded in the tweet. Now, how often do you think that's going to be effective? You might as well just be showing GIFs, memes. Oh, wait, we do that already. In fact, some e-cards came up with this whole fucking thing in 2007. So, what? What's the point? What's the point? Now, Gizmodo, they talked about this, and basically, they categorized the site as nothing more than a link dump. However, many of the pages don't even link to the vaguely referenced source. Now, in some facts on Unvaried are basically just people insulting Republicans. Hey, I like insulting Republicans, but they do so without any sort of context. For example, they have a card that simply says, Mike Pence is lying. Well, odds are he's lying about something, but maybe a little context would help. I mean, it's hard to determine what he's lying about and to refute that if you don't have context. Now, other entries on the site get a little bit more problematic. They include blog posts from Peter Dow. Now, what's the most recent blog post from Peter Dow that you can think of that is pissing people off? Oh yeah, how about his, quote, fair and honest assessment of what happened in the 2016 presidential race, which is basically him ranting about Bernie bros. Okay. He says that Trump got elected because of both Bernie Sanders and the mainstream media. So this is what you have going on Unvaried. This is basically a centrist Hillary Clinton, Peter Dow circle jerk. That's what this is. And of course, it was endorsed by Hillary Clinton. Now, not only that, but they're facts, right? As I said, I love facts. So we did a little fact checking of our own. They say they're verifiable, but Dow and his crew haven't really elaborated on who would actually do their fact checking. So no transparency. Well, that's wonderful. Okay. Now, not only that, but as I said, it's not going to be effective. The next web notes, Dow wants us to pepper our timeline debates with pictures. Does he not realize that will make reasonable people, both on the left and right, immediately switch off, just like they do when they get a chain email? But see, the thing is, I don't think Peter Dow cares about winning arguments. Look, the reason, and I think the only reason that they created Unvaried is because they're very salty about 2016. Look, I'm not happy with the results of 2016, and I forecast that. I said if you nominate Hillary Clinton, you will lose to Donald Trump. Now, later on, I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I was being a little too extreme. Donald Trump's a disaster. He's a train wreck, all these new scandals. I almost thought that he should have been, like, I thought he should have been done with the grab him by the pussy comment. But, dude, that Trump train just kept on chugging. I don't understand how stuff that would have disqualified earlier presidents did not stop Trump. I mean, it wasn't that far back that calling 47% of the population moochers would cost you the presidency, as it did for Mitt Romney. Now Trump's like, oh, I go out and I grab the pussies and they like it. What? What are you going to do? I could shoot people on Fifth Avenue. I'd still have my supporters. Well, you know, it's pretty much correct. Okay? It's very, very correct. So look, I'm unhappy with the results of this election. That's very obvious. I spend most of the day criticizing Donald Trump and his administration for what they're doing, policy-wise especially. But I'm also happy with unhappy with the DNC, okay? And people like Peter Dow, who pushed a terrible candidate on us, right? And look, not only that, but they want to sit there and they want to blame Bernie Sanders and the mainstream media for the fact that they lost the election. Well, let's relitigate it real quick here. And I know we all love doing that because that's exactly what this is. Well, let's talk about the Pied Piper strategy, right? Where Donald, you know, the DNC elevated Donald Trump and some of the craziest Republicans with, you know, free advertising, free media in order to, you know, get this guy as the Republican nominee so she could win against him. Well, we saw how that turned out. It turned out very, very badly. So, but look, Peter Dow, his intentions were very clear on why he created Unvaried. One has to only go to his Twitter account, which I realize maybe some of you are blocked. And I'm not blocked yet, but I'm assuming maybe after this segment, I will be. Now, he says, quote, the Hillary-hating frenzy over at Unvaried's launch is proof of why it needs to exist. In caps, there is no sanctuary in the media for Hillary voters. Oh. I can't. That's so much. It's too much, man. Too much stupid. And look, he was talking about how Unvaried was hit with the DDoS, direct denial of service attack, right after its launch. Now, that's unfortunate. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think you should DDoS, but at the same time, you know, it leads, and the reason I go against that is because it gives them ammunition to say stupid shit like this. Okay. Now, he also says, if you've had it with harassment, smears, lies, bullying, and demonization, please join us and help grow Unvaried. We're not going to be silenced. Hillary is not going to be erased. The haters can't overcome 65.8 million good patriotic Americans. Ken with the face palms. All I want to do is sit here and continuous face palm for the next 5 minutes. That's what this guy makes me want to do. Okay. Hillary's not going to be erased. No, what we want is, we don't want Hillary to be erased, but right now, what we want is a candidate that will actually win. Hillary Clinton couldn't do the job. She lost against Donald Trump. You can't get that low. You can't go as low as that. And I realized a lot of the attacks against her were rather unfair, and sexism did play a role. But for fuck's sake, she ran a terrible campaign against one of the most unpopular Republican presidential candidates in history. Her loss is unprecedented. She outspent him 2-1. You know what he talked about in his ads? He talked more about policy. They're terrible policies, but he talked about policy. Hillary Clinton ran a completely negative campaign, which most of her commercials were all about Trump is bad. It should seem fairly obvious for anyone looking into Trump that of course he was bad. But here we go. You know, again, the same old excuses from the same old people. Okay. And look, as far as the 65.8 million good patriots, I got news for you, Peter Dow. I think a lot of those people, they didn't like Clinton. And a lot of a big chunk of that were Bernie Sanders supporters. The same people that you go out and vilify. There was a great deal of Bernie Sanders supporters that sucked it up and said, okay, I don't want the disaster that is Donald Trump. So I will hold my nose. I will vote for Hillary Clinton to avoid this. Okay. You're going to ignore that, right? Again, a lot of these Bernie Sanders supporters voted for Clinton to try to avoid Trump, knowing that if the DNC hadn't screwed over Bernie Sanders and let him become and pushed her into being the nominee instead of letting him become the nominee, or at least having a chance of becoming the nominee, he could have won. Now, why didn't you put that on a little card? Oh, wait. A lot of people did. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.